Ashley Barber and Jade Olmsted are being interviewed by Pennsylvania State Police in the disappearance of Brandy Stevens-Rosine. As Trooper Eric Mallory is hearing their multiple versions of events, cops are in the woods behind Ashley Barber's home, uncovering a nightmare. This is no longer a missing person case. It's a murder.
You see an area where it looks like somebody was making a cabin or a campsite, and there's some fresh dirt that it looks like there had been a hole dug. They rope off the area and consider it a crime scene and eventually begin to dig in that area.
When they dig a little further beneath the ground,
they realize a human being has been buried there. She's identified as being Brandy Stevens.
20-year-old Brandy Stevens-Rosine, buried in a shallow grave. It was the news her mother, Carrie, prayed would never come.
2 a.m, my mom came to my house and told me they had found her body. It was awful. It was the worst nightmare ever.
When word gets back to the station that Brandy's body has been found, Ashley Barber suddenly changes her tone.
Ms. Barber indicated to me that she had more information to tell me, but she wasn't going to say another word until she was able to look into Jade's eyes and wanted to be able to talk to her.
you let them do that.
Absolutely.
After that, both girls agree to tell the true story. They are separated and recorded. A warning, the details you are about to hear are quite disturbing.
Ashley, let's clean the slate and just tell me what happened.
It was planned.
How did you get Brandy to the house?
We just told her that we were gonna hang out.
Jade Olmsted sent a message to Brandy inviting her to meet Ashley and for them to check out the fort or the campsite that they were building in the woods.
The girls tell Mallory that when Brandy arrived, Jade led her down the secluded path to the fort and said the word babe. Babe was their code word.
I heard her say, "Hey, babe," and I ran as fast as I could. And I came down, and Jade had her arm around her neck. So I came up and I punched her in the face. I don't know how many times, but I know it broke her nose. Brandy was screaming.
Do you know what she was saying, Ashley?
"Jade, stop it. I won't tell anybody. Just let it go now. I told people where I was."
Just walking into a trap.
Absolutely.
As Jade and Ashley continue to beat Brandy, she fights back, punching, kicking, and begging for help.
She thought she was calling out to somebody, like help me or something.
Yeah, but it's like she knew somebody else was there. I mean, my neighbor was cutting his grass in the back. I knew if she ran, I was not gonna be able to catch her. Plus, you know, her car being there and stuff. So I started beating her head off the tree stump. That's when the blood started coming.
That's when the blood started coming, and that's when Jade grabs a shovel.
How many times would you say you hit her with the shovel?
I don't know, like 4 times.
Okay.
And that's why Ashley has bruises on her arms, because I accidentally hit her while she was holding Brandy down.
Was anything being said either by you, Ashley, or Brandy?
Brandy was screaming for her life.
Ashley then puts a rope around Brandy's neck and tries choking her, while Jade savagely hits Brandy in the head with the shovel.
And what was Brandy's reaction after that?
She went limp, but she was gasping for air.
Okay.
And she was saying, "Jade, stop, Jade, stop." The girl was laying in a puddle of her own blood. So I started getting angry.
What do you think made you angry about that?
That she wasn't fighting anymore.
Then filled with rage,
I picked up the back of the rope and I let her head hit the stump probably 10 times.
as if it couldn't get any more horrific, Ashley and Jade then drag a severely beaten Brandy and push her into the grave, a grave they've already dug. And after that,
I picked up a big boulder because I could tell that she was still breathing, and I walked over to the top of the grave and I smashed her face in.
the viciousness continues.
We had a full bottle of water and I stood above her and poured it in her mouth and her nose.
It's a sadistic attempt to drown her. It's only then that Ashley and Jade begin to cover Brandy with dirt.
Do you think she was still alive when you buried her?
I don't know.
But she was, in the most cold-blooded of acts, and as an autopsy report would later show, Ashley and Jade bury Brandy alive.
It's terrible.
Terrible way to die.
Trooper Mallory needs a break, and while sitting alone, one of the ruthless killers can be heard whispering to the other.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, to think of what she went through in those woods and to think of her final moments.
It's very tragic, very brutal, very cold, calculated.
Calculated and confirmed.
Our intentions were to bring her over so we could kill her.
Okay, there it is.
Cops will go on to find even more evidence of their depravity.
Ashley wrote a note or a letter. It says, quote, "I blank murdered your 20-year-old mistake. She deserved it." Jade wrote, "Do I feel guilty? Answer, not an ounce. I am proud."
They wrote terrible things.
What they left on the trees in the diary, that's not remorse. That's almost like a badge of honor.
Jade Olmsted and Ashley Barber were charged with first-degree murder. Both pleaded guilty and were sentenced to life. No chance of parole. So what in the world could have been their motive?
They never really came out and explained to the state police what their motive was. I always believed that it was their crazy attempt to show one another how much they cared for each other. Jade Olmsted had explained to the state police that Ashley Barber was very jealous, and I believe when Ashley found out that Jade was still communicating with Brandy, they decided that she had to go. Brandy Stevens wasn't bothering these two people, and they basically lured her here to murder her.
Sarah Van Allen is still haunted by Ashley's social media threat she didn't share until later.
It definitely taught me a lot more to pay attention to the things that people say, because I feel like had I said something, this wouldn't have happened. Sorry.
You couldn't have known that something like this was going to happen, and you can't blame yourself.
I'm sorry.
And for Brandy's mom, through her overwhelming pain and heartbreak, she says there's a lesson in it all.
Listen to your gut. You have a bad feeling. Don't just text somebody, I have a bad feeling, this is where I'll be if something happens to me. If you have a bad feeling, don't go. Don't go.
For Brandy's friends, they're left to try to make sense of their loss and her senseless, barbaric death.
The fact that she was taken in such an ugly way for such a beautiful person, a beautiful soul. It's shocking. But I don't want her to be remembered by how she was taken. I want her to be remembered as who she was before.
You're a good friend.
Thanks. Brandy would have done it for me.
During police interviews and in the letter Ashley Barber wrote to her parents, she hinted this may have not been her only murder, saying, quote, "This won't be my last. It was not my first." However, detectives believe Ashley was lying in an attempt to make herself look tougher and deflect some of the blame from the love of her life, Jade. And if you like this story, make sure you tune in every day to Crime Watch Daily. You can find where the show airs in your city at crimewatchdaily.com. Watch it live or record it on your DVR and watch it at night. And to all those criminals out there, remember, we are watching.